Imagine being in a crowded airport. Everything seems normal, until suddenly, a police dog leaps onto a baby stroller and starts barking relentlessly. The mother screams, people scatter. Had the dog lost her mind, or was she trying to tell them something no one else could see? What happened next left everyone frozen in shock. And what was discovered beneath the baby's blanket was something no one would ever forget. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, share it to spread the love, and subscribe to Four-Legged Heroes so you never miss our heartwarming stories. Thank you for joining us. It was a mild evening at San Francisco International Airport. Though inside Terminal G, the atmosphere was as cold and methodical as ever. Boarding announcements blended with the hum of rolling suitcases and the tired murmurs of passengers arriving from Seoul. Everything was in order. Everything was routine. Ethan Mercer, a customs agent and former soldier, walked through the security zone with his partner, Angel, a sleek, sharp-eyed Belgian Malinois. They didn't need words to communicate. He knew that if something was wrong, Angel would be the first to sense it. And until that night, she had never been wrong. They had already been on shift for over 14 hours. Mercer was counting down the minutes until they could leave. Angel had spent the morning doing her usual rounds, detecting prohibited items, undeclared pills, even jewelry hidden in clothing. It was all routine. But then, at exactly 11:48 p.m., everything changed. Angel tensed suddenly, as if struck by something invisible. Her head snapped toward the arrival hallway. Mercer noticed immediately. She had caught a scent that didn't belong. From the other end of the checkpoint, a young woman pushed a navy blue stroller. She looked exhausted, like any mother after a long flight, but there was something off about her. She avoided eye contact. Her hands gripped the stroller too tightly. A bead of sweat trickled down her forehead, despite the air conditioning. Angel growled softly and began to move forward. "Angel back," Mercer ordered, surprised by her focus. But Angel didn't obey. In an instant, she lunged toward the stroller with lightning speed. She reared up, placing her front paws on the edge of the carriage. The mother screamed, stumbling back in panic. The stroller wobbled. A blue blanket slipped to the ground, and beneath it, something metallic glinted under the dim airport lights. The baby wailed as the crowd gasped, because strapped beneath the infant, hidden under the padding, was a Glock 19 pistol. "Gun!" shouted one of the security agents. "Everyone down!" Chaos erupted. People dropped to the floor. The mother stood frozen, pale-faced, as officers surrounded her with weapons drawn. Mercer, his heart pounding, regained control of the situation, with Angel standing guard like a sentinel beside the stroller. This wasn't just a routine customs check anymore. This was an international emergency. Minutes later, with the area secured and the woman escorted to a private room, Mercer knelt beside the stroller, examining the hidden weapon. The metal was still warm. This wasn't an old gun. This wasn't an accident. The way it was concealed, taped beneath the padding, meant this was planned. Someone had tried to smuggle this weapon across the border, using a baby as camouflage. "Good girl," Mercer murmured, stroking Angel's fur with deep respect. "You knew something wasn't right." She looked at him with those knowing eyes, eyes that spoke without words. Because Angel wasn't just any police dog. She was a rescued Malinois, once deemed too unpredictable, too wild to train. But Mercer had seen something in her, just as she had seen something in that mother tonight. And now, as the interrogation unfolded, the real story emerged. Melissa Chen wasn't a criminal. She was a victim, one of those invisible victims the world often overlooks. Inside the cold, sterile interrogation room, she sat trembling, her shoulders hunched as if trying to make herself disappear. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her hands clenched together so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Across the room, her baby, Benjamin, slept in the gentle arms of a female officer. His small chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. He was unharmed, but the journey had drained him. His lips were dry, his tiny fingers still clenched as if grasping for safety. Melissa looked up slowly, her voice a ghost of itself. "I wasn't trying to hurt anyone," she whispered, barely audible through the silence. "I was trying to protect my son." With shaking hands, she reached beneath the neckline of her sweater and pulled out a gold chain, a small, delicate cross dangling from it. It looked ordinary, even beautiful, but Melissa unclasped the pendant to reveal a hidden compartment. Inside, tucked with meticulous care, was a micro USB drive. "Here's the proof," she said, her voice cracking. What played on that drive would send chills down the spine of every agent in that room. It wasn't just a domestic dispute, it was a documented nightmare. There were videos, dozens of them. Melissa had secretly recorded the abuse, screaming, threats, bruises, surveillance footage from hidden cameras showing her husband, Robert Keller, a high-ranking official with powerful connections, threatening to destroy her life, take Benjamin away, and make sure she never saw daylight again. He had influence, friends in high places, people who covered for him. And Melissa? She was just a frightened wife, dismissed again and again when she tried to seek help. So she did the unthinkable. She ran. She packed what little she could, took her son, and fled across borders. She didn't want to carry a gun. She hated guns. But fear has a way of silencing your moral compass when your child's life is on the line. It wasn't about vengeance. It was about survival. She wasn't smuggling a weapon for crime. She was carrying a weapon for protection because no one else was protecting her. And Angel, that remarkable dog, had sensed it all. While most canines are trained to sniff out danger in the form of explosives or narcotics, Angel had a gift that went beyond scent. She could read people. She could feel the emotional pulse in a room. That night, she didn't just smell the gun. She smelled the terror, the desperation, the invisible trauma woven into Melissa's every heartbeat. She didn't just find a weapon. She found a cry for help. Angel had saved them both, not just from arrest, but from being lost in a system that too often fails the vulnerable. Weeks turned into months. Melissa and Benjamin were relocated under witness protection. With new names, a new city, and a small apartment, they started over. Benjamin learned to laugh again, to sleep through the night without clinging to his mother's shirt. Melissa started therapy. Slowly, painfully, she began to believe that peace was possible. Robert Keller was arrested, exposed by the recordings on that USB. His empire crumbled, his web of influence unraveled. The justice system, slow and often imperfect, had finally listened, but only because Melissa had dared to speak, and because Angel had dared to bark. As for Angel, she returned to work. Day after day, she resumed her duties without fanfare. But those who had witnessed what happened that night never looked at her the same again. Behind her eyes was something more than training. There was intuition, empathy, a silent intelligence that saved lives. Because sometimes the most powerful instincts don't come from humans. Survival takes courage. Rebuilding takes love. Melissa wasn't a threat. She was a mother protecting her child the only way she knew how. Heroes come in many forms. A brave dog, a compassionate agent, a terrified mom refusing to give up. So before you judge someone's fear, look closer. And if you're the one struggling, remember, you're not weak. You're not alone. Your story matters. Thanks for watching Four-Legged Heroes. Like, share, and subscribe, because someone needs this story today.